Welcome back to the Heal and Restore podcast with your host, me, Randy.
Hello.
And, of course, every goofy and funny and beautiful hostess with the most is my wife, Kathy.
Hello, everyone.
I told you she was goofy.
It's a good day to be goofy.
Well, every day's a good day to be goofy.
That's true.
Right? I mean, you're having a bad day, start being goofy.
That's true.
I mean, should I tell a story about Lowe's?
No. Let's move forward here. That was a fun day, though.
That was pretty funny, yeah.
You can ask me later if you
Yeah,
want to hear. I'm happy to share.
Okay, our heart is to help individuals and couples to grow stronger through healing, honest conversation, and meaningful connection. Each week we talk about real-life topics like communication, forgiveness, intimacy, family, and emotional health. Because healthy relationships begin with the healed hearts. And thank you for tuning in as we take another step together toward restoring what matters most. What matters most?
What matters most is the relationships, yourself, your personal health, your journey. Definitely that. So today we're super glad that you're joining us. We love to be able to spread the love and share the information as we navigate it ourselves. So this week, we're going to talk about a topic that so many parents wrestle with, but they don't always talk about openly. And this is kind of for one of our friends who's navigating a newly adult 18-year-old and getting ready to graduate from high school, and her first. So it's, a lot of parents have students that are getting ready to graduate, or they're in their early adult years,
Right.
And it's difficult. They just don't talk about it because they're just kind of winging it.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
Today's episode is called Parenting Adult Children with Boundaries.
Yeah, with boundaries. So
Those boundaries are critical.
yeah. So if you're a parent of an adult children, maybe you have a couple, and you already know that this season can be incredibly rewarding, but it also can be surprisingly challenging.
Yeah, it can be at times, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so because no one really prepares you for this transition.
Nope, not at all. No handbook.
There's no handbook. You're not given a video to watch, none of that, right? So you go from being hands-on, guiding, protecting, and making decisions to suddenly needing to step back. This is the hard one. For a lot of people, release control, and even harder, redefine your role.
Yeah, redefine your role, understand your child's role, your adult child's role.
Right.
So for many parents, that shift can bring on a lot of confusion. There might be tension, guilt, and even hurt.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is part of it.
Yeah.
You can almost expect that.
Yeah,
Honestly.
absolutely.
So you might find yourself asking, how much do I step in? How much do I step in? When do I say quiet? When do I stay quiet? That's a tough one.
As a mom, yes.
What if I see them making mistakes?
It's hard, super hard.
That one could start when they're kids. We have to let them make mistakes.
Yeah.
How do I help without enabling? And how do I stay connected without losing myself?
Yeah.
And that is, so all those are extremely important subjects that we must learn how to work through.
Right. So we're going to navigate. We're going to talk about that and help you navigate through that today.
We're going to kind of go through some of those today. Right.
So underneath all of that, though, there is this particular truth. You don't stop loving your children when they become adults, but the way you love them has to change. And I have often shared with some of the gals who are entering into these years, and I said, my experience was that you will always love your children, but the relationship, the dynamic of the relationship will change. And they're like, what do you mean? And it's hard to explain. It's almost like having grandchildren. You really can't explain that. But it's the way you love them that changes.
You're still their parent. You're going to always be their parent. And that's the whole thing about it. You'll never stop being their parent.
How you love them changes is kind of the key to that.
I think one of the major shifts that happened, and we had this conversation with clients recently, is that they're 18 now, they're adults, technically they're adults, and they become extended family. And so it's, that's when a lot of times if it's just one or two children, that's when your husband becomes your number one priority.
Yeah.
And your kids will still always be your priority.
Yeah.
I think this is important to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
They're always a priority. It's just the way that we look at it, like it says, it changes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about the shift from parenting to relating, because that's the beginning of that shift.
One of the biggest challenges in parenting adult children is understanding this. Your role is no longer to control.
Yeah,
It's to relate,
yeah,
right? And oftentimes, it's hard because we are only repeating the behavior that our parents showed
right.
us.
Yeah,
And it doesn't mean it was right or wrong,
yeah,
but we have to listen to our
yeah.
children.
Yeah, that's a huge shift. It's a
That's a
huge
big
shift that we
shift.
have to take. So,
Yes.
when our children are young, our role as parents is to guide them, to
Mhm.
protect them, to correct them.
If they ask for it.
No, young
Oh,
children.
it's young children.
As
I'm
young
sorry.
children, our
Yeah,
role is
yeah,
to guide them,
yeah.
to protect them, to
Correct
correct them,
them.
and teach them.
Yes, absolutely.
But sometimes it's also to help make the decisions for them.
Mhm.
These are what we have to do as parents, and that's our role when we have young children.
I think on that those 4 points right there, the important part too, and all that, by guiding, you have to let them make mistakes. You have to let them fall.
Right, right.
And then you don't want to beat them up for it. You want to talk about what happened so that you can move the next time. You can work
So
through
you can
those
make that
issues.
correction,
Right,
yeah.
exactly,
Yeah,
right.
that's good.
But when they become adults, your role changes. It becomes influencing instead of controlling, right?
good.
Your kids are always watching you,
Yeah.
always supporting instead of directing,
Yeah.
and relating instead of managing.
Yeah.
That's where this is where the wisdom of a parent comes in,
Yeah.
right here.
I love that, relating instead of managing. And I think what we have to remember as parents, we have to kind of fall back to when we might have been 18, 19, 20 years old. What was going on in our life, and how can we relate to our child at that
Right.
age? And that's where relating instead of managing is really important, because we need to share our experiences, the good things that worked well for us, as well as the things that didn't work well for
Exactly.
us.
And I think that's also where, as parents, we become, like Kathy said, you go back to when we were this age, what do we want in our parents?
Right. Yeah.
What do
become
we?
that.
Yeah, you become that. That, your parents will probably have a lot of good stuff, but then there's stuff that confused you. Looking at that 19-year-old, 18-year-old, 17-year-old kid, what is it that you needed the most from your parents? And that takes some self-reflection.
Yeah, it really does.
Right.
And this shift really doesn't happen overnight.
No.
There's usually tension because you're navigating something for the first time, and so the tension's going to follow. Because adult children, they don't want to be parented the same way they were when they were 10 or 15. Be real about that. Did you want to be parented like you were a 10-year-old?
Right.
18, 19 years old.
In making this shift, it can become scary.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that.
It can become, you're working on changing some behaviors that you've had or a role that you've had for 18 years.
Yeah.
It can become scary to the point to where when you practice this stuff, it's almost like, gee, you're awful harsh all of a sudden, Mom or Dad,
Yeah,
right? So
it's an adjustment.
yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. Because remember this: they want to be respected,
Yeah.
right? They want autonomy, and they want to feel trusted.
Yeah. And if they don't experience those things, these are some things that will happen. I mean, they can pull away. They can become defensive.
Yep.
Little communication or limited communication, and they'll create distance.
Absolutely.
And when that happens, typically as a parent, you're pushing yourself further into them. So they really just need to feel trusted. They want to feel valued. They want to feel respected. They want their autonomy. Are they going to do it perfectly? No. But you're still there to guide them, but don't overbear them.
And I think one of the things too is to trust ourselves that we did the best job as parents to get them ready for that next step.
That's one of the things I tell my girls is that you've got to believe in yourself, that you've created a strong foundation,
Right.
so that when they step into these young adult roles, They're the
Absolutely.
best prepared as they can be.
Exactly.
So I want to share a little bit, I think this is really important, is why the boundaries matter in this season with our adult children.
Then let's talk about boundaries, right?
Go for it.
Boundaries are not about control.
Yeah. I like
They're
that.
simply about clarity, respect, and responsibility. And believe it or not, those boundaries are for you, not for your children.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because when we have healthy boundaries, what we're doing is we're defining what is yours to carry, what is mine to carry, what is theirs to carry, and then where the lines of responsibility will begin and where they will end. We have to define those. If we don't define those, it's just going to be a squabble again.
Absolutely. And then the hard part, once we set them, is keeping them.
Yeah,
Right?
no, definitely.
That's the hard part. So without boundaries, relationships can become enmeshed,
Yep.
and that's a
Yeah.
John Lee is very damaged. John Lee talks about it in one of his books. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he talks very much. He was in an enmesh with his mother, so it's a real thing. We become controlling,
Yep.
right? And this is the hard one. It's bad. It's really bad for us. Is resentful, right? I mean, we become resentful. Resentment is a key to one's spiritual death.
Yeah.
I believe that, right?
Yeah.
Or we become emotionally exhausted. I think we've all experienced that.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And this is especially true with adult children because if parents continue to overfunction, adult children they may start to underfunction. You don't want to send your child out into the world as an underfunctioning adult.
No, not at all,
No.
right? And all that's really important. You don't want them to be underfunctioning because if they're underfunctioning, that's kind of where the world's been going sideways lately, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of underfunctioning adults in this world.
Yeah, definitely.
So overfunctioning in the parent often creates underfunctioning in the child. Right?
And that's not
That's what
because
we did, yeah.
and that's not because your child's incapable.
No.
Definitely not because
No.
they're incapable. It's because the system hasn't required them to fully step into the responsibility.
Right.
And the system is you. The system is your home.
That's
the
where it
system
starts.
Is your environment.
Right. The system in the world is, as we know it, is kind of all over. It's not in a healthy place. It's important that we as parents create that healthy system within our home and within our children.
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing that we'd like to talk about here is really important too is that common boundary struggles with adult children, they're not easy.
No,
So,
they're not.
Randy, why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because these are some areas that there's going to be struggles in this adjustment, in this shift.
A lot of struggles, yeah. Well, it might be, might not be, but for the most part, it becomes a struggle. So let's talk about some real life areas where boundaries get blurry, right? Number one is financial boundaries. Helping financially can come from a place of love. And most times it will, right? But without clarity, it can churn into ongoing dependence.
Yeah, I want to share something on that.
Yeah, what's that clarity? Is that
Well, and that's kind of what I want to talk about too, is the clarity. We had an experience ourselves with our daughter, and she was already 18, already married, and at the time she was pregnant and her husband was deploying. And so they thought it would be really good for her to come back and live at home since he was going to be gone and she was having a baby, and they could save their money and pay their bills off. And of course my mama heart was, oh, my baby's coming home, my baby's having a baby, and it was great. And Randy's like, we need to talk about this, we need to think about this. And so what we had to do is we had to set a boundary with her, because we realized that although yes, it might have been great to have her at home, and it might have been good for them to save their money, or would they spend their money, I don't know. What we realized is that it really wasn't helping them to learn financial responsibility.
Right. It would have done more harm than good.
Yeah, we felt that it would have done more harm than good. And so we set a boundary and said, we love you, we care about you guys, but we really think that the best thing for you is to stay where you're going to stay, stay in your housing, your military housing. You will get through this, and we're going to be there with you.
Yeah, we weren't going to leave her by herself.
No.
I mean, we were 2 hours away from her. And, she came visit us quite a bit. But it was just that responsibility that you need to learn how to work through these difficult situations.
So we set a hard boundary.
Yeah. And she followed it.
And she did great. She did a great job. She learned independence. She learned how to manage things.
Right.
She learned how to reach out when she needed
Absolutely,
help. All of
yeah.
these things. But
Yeah,
here's some other questions that we have to consider with this. You know, you have to ask yourself: is the help temporary or is it open-ended? You know, you
Yes.
can allow things to happen, but make sure it's temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Not open-ended, because otherwise it just goes on and on and on. So set clear, decisive boundaries on that. Bring
And
clarity to it.
that needs to be verbally expressed.
Yes.
This is, I can't do this. It's not going to be open-ended. I'll help you through this situation, but you're going to have to learn how to
Yeah,
be
you
more
have to
responsible
clearly
along the way.
communicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any expectation you have has to be clearly communicated.
Oh,
for
we
sure.
did that when she was going through the situation with her ex-husband, where she needed a place to stay at that point in
Right.
time. So we said, yeah, you can come live with us,
Mm-hmm.
and the expectation is this, right? It's not open-ended. We're going to give you 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you come here, just participate with. We didn't charge her rent. We
No.
didn't do none of that. We just, all we want you to do is
Get
be
on our feet.
proactive, get on your feet, be proactive to find a job. And she did.
Yeah,
And
we-
probably, yeah.
We gave her
So,
6 months,
yeah.
and she did. You know, and what that did is that empowered her.
100%.
We weren't enabling her; it empowered her.
Right.
We had expectations that were clearly communicated, and she knew what they were,
Right.
and it empowered her to do. She didn't want to live with us, I'm sure, with
No.
2 kids at that point.
And so, you know, stuff like that is actually showing our children a tremendous amount of love. That is pure love.
It's showing them love. It's showing them that we believe in them.
Right.
It's showing them that we respect them. And
Absolutely.
it's showing them that we know that they will get through this.
We believe in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second thing is with boundaries is the emotional boundaries. You know, some parents, they carry that emotional weight of their adult children's lives. And I could have very easily carried that weight for our daughter in that moment, because I knew she was, especially when she came back home.
Right.
You know, when she was going through her divorce.
Right.
That was hard for her, and so I was carrying that. So emotional boundaries are something that we have to be mindful of as well.
So, and we want to clarify too that we still felt what she was going through.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah,
carried
yeah.
that weight right alongside
I
her.
carried it too with her,
Yeah.
but we didn't enable her to fall into a victim mentality.
no.
We walked with her through the
Yeah.
entire process,
Yeah.
every bit of it.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, when you're carrying those emotional boundaries, there's things that you're going to feel. There's
yeah,
no doubt about
yeah,
it.
you can't get away from those.
Yeah.
Right. You feel what you feel, and that's it. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
You may feel responsible for their happiness, right? Their choices, their struggles, and even their consequences.
Yeah.
So remember one thing, you're not God. Nobody can make anybody feel, say, or do anything they want to feel, say, or do.
Yeah.
Nobody has that kind of power
You
in
have to
them.
release that.
Happiness
yourself.
comes within it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So,
I had to learn that myself.
yeah.
All right.
So good. But here's
So-
the truth, though. You're not responsible for your adult child's emotional
Nope.
life. You are responsible for how you show up in
Mm-hmm.
it. How do you show up in your child's life? That's what's key to that. And another category to think about too is advice and decision making. You know, that's huge. That's a big one.
You know, when that last little thing Kathy said, this is where parents' wisdom really can come into play, right? I mean, when they're struggling, we use our wisdom.
Yeah.
And it's like we learn, it's our experience, strength, and help. And experience, strength, and hope with everybody, because that's what helps,
Right.
right? Knowing that you've been through it, right?
Right.
So, excuse me, you may see things clearly, and you may have wisdom from years of experience. But unsolicited advice can often feel like criticism or control.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes the healthiest shift is just asking, would you like my input? Or do you just need me to listen? And we can all be
Right.
better at that in all
Right.
relationships, not just with our adult children,
Exactly.
but even
Exactly.
with in love relationships, work relationships, things like that. The other thing that's important to think about is time and availability. Adult children, they may still expect access to your time, energy, and availability without considering your own needs. So as children, they're not thinking about their parents' needs, but as adults, they've got to start thinking that way. So it's going to be really important that you set a boundary on what your time and availability is for yourself as well as for that adult child.
And oftentimes in that subject, it's not saying no, never. It's like, right now that's not going to work for us, but we want to participate in this with you.
Right.
Can we maybe do it another weekend or another time, another day or whatever? So it's not that, no, we're not going to do it.
Right.
We want to give them some.
Right. Because parents struggle to say no.
Oh yeah,
They don't want to disappoint or create a distance.
No, not
so
at all.
So it's exactly what you're saying. It's okay to say no, but sometimes we don't want to say no.
We don't want to say no.
Yeah.
Right?
Without all these boundaries, resentment will slide. It'll be so secretly. It'll start building very quietly.
And when it hits, because it builds, you think everything's okay, and then all of a sudden we have a huge volcano just explode.
Yeah. You don't want to get to that place. So that's why all of these things are so important to communicate the clarity in them.
What is it with resentment? You said you got a perfect example of it. How it's like a volcano.
Yeah.
So the lava starts bubbling up, right? And
It's
it bubbles
filling from
up,
the
starts
bottom.
filling the bottom up, and it just gets to the point to where that's it.
Yeah.
And it usually comes out when a really simple thing we're talking about.
That's not about the
Not
current situation.
about the current
It's all
situation.
the stuff that's been building.
Right.
And we want to talk a little bit too. This is something that's really important: is the difference between helping and enabling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, helping and enabling. I don't know that I understood that early on either.
Well, I don't think any of us did.
No.
I didn't. Right? We just love our children. We want to help them. So this is where many parents get stuck.
Yeah.
They generally want to help, but they're not sure when helping crosses into enabling. And this happens chronically in the world of addiction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Chronically in
Yeah.
the world of addiction.
And it's usually the parents enabling an
Right,
adult child
right,
in that moment.
right.
So here's something that might help you. So helping says, I'm here to support you as you take responsibility. And enabling says, I'll take responsibility so you don't have to.
Right.
Here, give it to me instead of handing it back.
Right.
So helping is giving it back to them. Enabling is taking it away from them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So helping empowers growth, right? Very true. Enabling delays growth.
Yeah.
Because you're just giving,
Postponing.
you're not teaching them nothing.
Yeah. You're postponing their lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. You're doing more harm than you are
Right.
good. Right?
Now, sometimes though, enabling it comes from places that we don't realize.
Right.
So it'll come from guilt. It may come from fear. Or just not wanting to see your child struggle. I mean, that's hard as a parent. You never want to see your child struggle. But there's so many opportunities in that struggle. It's like with our clients. I love your challenges because in your challenge is where you're going to grow.
Right.
And so
Right.
it's the same thing with your kids. In their struggle, they're going to grow.
And we have to remember, what kind of struggles do we go through? You know, I mean, we've all
Learn
had
from
them. So it's like, okay, you're going to struggle,
Yeah.
but we're going to be right by your side through your struggle. I
Absolutely.
think that's the critical part,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you're not going to let them struggle alone.
You can't abandon them.
No, you're not going to let them struggle alone.
But here's the hard truth: rescuing your adult child from every struggle may keep them from developing the strength they need, and that's enabling. That's exactly what
Enabling
does.
is rescuing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the two in the same, right?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about why boundaries feel hard and why are they so difficult. And I think a lot of that is because as parents, as for many of us, boundaries can feel like rejection. They might feel like we're withdrawing or even lacking love.
Mm-hmm.
And those are hard words: rejection, withdrawal, and lack of love.
Right.
That's not fun to
Right.
feel.
No, not at all. But boundaries are not a withdrawal of love at all.
No.
Right? Again, I'm going to say they're actually showing your love a lot. They are a redefinition of love.
I love that.
They're a redefinition of love.
Yeah. And another reason they feel hard is because you remember their pain as a child. If you've had some of those experiences, you remember it as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been their protector for years, and so letting go can feel like you're losing a part of your identity. As you're falling back into that your own childhood pain at that point.
And sometimes there's fear.
Yeah.
What if they pull away? What if they get upset? What if this damages the relationship? Those are all legitimate,
Yeah.
but what if they don't?
Right, exactly. I like that. Yeah, what if they
What
don't?
if they don't, right?
Yeah, but here's something that we've seen over and over is, healthy boundaries don't destroy relationships, they clarify them.
Yeah.
They make your relationship stronger
Mm-hmm.
when you can have healthy boundaries. They're not going to destroy it. It feels uncomfortable, like it could be destroyed.
Right.
But you're actually building a healthy relationship because of those boundaries.
Especially if you haven't set boundaries your whole life.
Yeah.
And now you're having to set them. It's like, oh my gosh. It's scary. I mean, we've been there, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm going to talk a little bit too. This is going to be a good category to talk about is what healthy boundaries look like when they're put into action.
when they're put into action. So
Mm-hmm.
let's make this practical. What does it actually look like to parent adult children with boundaries?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
All right.
Clear communication. That's the start.
That's-
We got to
that's
start right there.
clear
Boundaries need to be
communica-
communicated, not assumed. Remember what Jiminy Cricket said about
Right.
assumptions? Things that to make that clear communication, it might sound like we're happy to help with this one time, but we won't be able to continue financially. Or it might sound like we trust you to make your decision, even if we wouldn't choose the
Right.
same.
Right.
We might have a different thought. Another thing that might sound like is that I'm here to listen, but I'm not going to take this on for you. Yeah.
No.
No.
I mean, you've got to teach your children to trust their decision, right?
And you've got to communicate. it,
You
too.
got to communicate it to them. Say, okay, would you like some feedback on what I'm seeing and what I used to do in this situation?
Right.
I'd be glad to give that to you if you'd like some feedback.
Yeah.
If they don't, then say, okay, fine. Just
Yeah.
know that we're going to be here for you no matter what.
Yeah.
So boundaries only work if they are consistent. If you say no, but then give in out of guilt, the boundary gets blown. And eventually they're going to learn, yeah, they said that before, and they keep on doing
Yeah.
it for us.
Over
That's just
and over.
what they say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But,
Ooh, that's hard. That's probably one of the hard ones.
Right.
And that's the ones that we see where parents do struggle the most is when their no becomes, well, maybe, and then it becomes a yes, and then it becomes ignored altogether, and then the boundaries.
we did it with our own children.
Yeah. That's what I said.
We're not perfect.
Yeah.
Right, so.
And I think one of the hardest ones in all of this and setting the boundaries, we have to allow them their consequences.
Right.
We have to allow those adult children of ours to experience the consequences of their choice.
Correct.
We can't be behind them with the shovel picking things up. We have to let them
And
experience those consequences.
exactly. And when they're children, we need to teach them about consequences.
Yeah.
There's consequences for every action.
Yeah.
Every action you have a consequence.
Yep. Absolutely.
So.
That's what you just said. You're
Right.
so smart, honey. Yeah. We're looking at our teleprompter here to make sure we don't miss our points. And Randy's, he loves this category. You're really good at your boundaries, aren't you? You are. He knows them well. The other thing, this is hard, especially when they're just a newly adult, 18, is we have to learn to respect their autonomy. Even when we disagree, even when we see things differently. And even if it's hard to watch, I mean, if you watching them make a mistake or do something wrong, it's hard to sit back and just let it happen.
It's really hard to watch.
Yeah.
Right, because they're going down a bad road. I don't know how this is going to turn out. But,
Right.
No matter what, we got to let them experience it.
Yeah.
That's how they're going to learn. Right?
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
it's, yeah.
it's like the one thing I say, I don't believe in failure.
No.
I mean, people are going to make choices. They're going to do what they're going to do. But it's only a failure if you don't do anything about it or if you don't learn from it. So
Right.
instead of looking at it as a failure, I failed that. No, you didn't.
Nope.
No. It didn't go the way you planned. So what did you learn from this
Right.
experience so that you don't repeat it?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
that simple.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I love this boundary. This next one it's something that we take for granted and we don't apply.
take care of your own emotional health.
Yeah.
It's important, right?
Yeah.
You are allowed to have peace, to have space, have emotional boundaries, and not carry what isn't yours.
To let it go.
You just
Gotta
got to
release it.
let it. And Well, it's awful simple for you to say, Randy, sitting there behind a microphone on a podcast. It wasn't so simple
No.
when I had to start doing it.
Yeah,
Right?
it is definitely hard.
These are all hard, and we understand that about recovery period. A person is making radical changes to recover the life that the person that God created you to be, and we know it's not easy.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're undoing years of a certain behavior, certain beliefs.
Right. But what I love about this is just helping those that are listening that might have these
Yeah.
adult children, because they don't
Yeah.
have to go through quite as big of a struggle
No.
if you can take away something from this podcast
Absolutely.
today.
Right.
So, when the relationship is strained, that's like when you've allowed things to get too far, I guess. So we're gonna speak
And
to
we've
those.
experienced that with
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
We have
we're
experienced
gonna
that.
we're gonna talk a little bit about to those that might be listening who feel distant, or if there's tension with their adult children. Maybe there's limited communication. Maybe there's been some conflict, and maybe there's been hurt. Those are all very valid and things that can and will happen in adult-parent relationships at times.
One of the key words in this entire episode, and the most important word in this entire episode keeps coming up: communication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If
key.
you don't know how to communicate in a loving way,
Yeah.
this is going to be hard.
Yeah.
Again, that's where we can help with Hill Store Council, because most of our clients, that's what it is.
Right.
They don't know how to communicate.
Not just with each other, but even
No,
with their kids.
With their kids,
Adult
with their
kids or little
bosses.
kids.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. In those situations, boundaries are still important, but so is humility and openness.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when we get into these situations, we have to kind of look at things differently. And we have to look at things like owning our part. What was my part? What was your part? Being willing to listen without being defensive. That's kind of difficult to do as a parent, but we have to be willing to listen without being defensive.
Right.
And we also have to be able to create space for that honest
Mm-hmm.
conversation, because if we don't do that, nothing's going to change.
Right.
Yeah,
So sometimes the goal is not immediate agreement.
yeah,
It's rebuilding trust.
yeah. I love that.
Rebuilding trust. So with that, a word to parents carrying guilt.
Yeah, if
No.
you're out there listening and you're carrying a little bit of guilt, you're not alone. You're
No.
not alone at all. I just I reflect on this, and there's parents listening today who are carrying heavy guilt,
Mhm.
and they might have guilt about their past decisions, mistakes they've made
Mhm.
in their past,
Mhm.
things that they wish they had done differently.
Absolutely.
I think if we're all honest with ourselves, we can definitely. We can agree with a lot of these things. We've all been in those places.
Well, I think also things they wish they had done differently.
Mm-hmm.
Look at.
We can all wish that.
Yeah, true. But here's the difference. You can change.
Mm-hmm.
You can do them differently today because your children are still watching you,
Right.
right? And it's like, what happens is the change comes with the consistency of change in behavior, actions, and words.
Over time.
Over time. It's
Yep.
not going to happen in a month or 2 months, right?
Mhm.
It's got to be over time.
Right.
I believe we went through it with our kids.
Yeah.
They're watching and they
Yeah.
see how we fought for our for
Right.
our marriage and for our lives,
Our
right?
relationships,
Our
yeah,
relationships,
and our family.
and our family,
As a
absolutely.
family unit,
So
yeah.
they're watching, and you can change.
Yeah.
So don't think it's just
And
who I am.
I think it's okay to wish that you did differently.
Yeah,
But don't
absolutely.
stay there, I think is what you're saying. It's okay to wish that you had done differently, but make the change today.
Well, I thought I was having this thought I didn't talk to you about last night. I meant to, but I fell asleep. I wish there's things with our daughter that, I could have been such a better father to her, and but, I made mistakes. But that being said, and I wish I could have, but I can't go back.
Forward.
But today, our relationship is solid,
Yeah.
right? Because I've made the changes, and she now trusts me.
Yeah, no,
Right,
that's
she
key.
now-
That's key to that.
Along with the guilt, it can also drive these unhealthy patterns like overcompensating or overgiving.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Those are two, you don't want to be overcompensating and overgiving.
No,
right?
no. Here's the truth about all of this. You cannot parent out of
Mhm.
guilt and expect healthy outcomes. It's just not going to happen. You can't parent out of guilt and expect healthy outcomes. It's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work.
It's just going to create
right?
a cyclone
Right, absolutely.
that's going to build on that.
Right.
Yeah.
So healing begins when you acknowledge the past,
Mm-hmm.
right? Take responsibility where needed. We have a part in everything we do aside from any kind of abuse,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But also release what you can change.
Cannot change.
What you cannot, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, what you cannot change.
Yeah.
You cannot change people, places, or things.
And you cannot change the past.
You cannot change
but
the past.
you can change your future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want to dive into this because I think this is really good, is understanding what adult children actually need in
Yeah.
these seasons. What do they need the most in these seasons?
So at the end of the day, most adult children don't need perfect parents.
No.
I mean, that's an impossible task to reach as a parent, or even a more impossible task for your children to try to achieve.
You're right,
You know?
exactly.
It's not healthy.
No, and we've talked about some of these before,
Mm-hmm.
but just as a recap, what they really need is they really need respect. They want to see consistency. They want honesty, and they want emotional safety.
Mm-hmm. And they need to know you believe in me.
Yeah.
You believe in me no matter what. I know that you believe in me. You trust me.
Mm-hmm.
That you're here, but you're not controlling me, right? You're here for me no matter what, but I know you're not controlling me.
Yeah.
Right?
No, and it's so true because when these boundaries are really healthy, the
Mm-hmm.
relationships often become stronger, not weaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the key. Is I think a lot of parents, parenting teenagers is very difficult, especially in today's world. But when they become adults, if we can set these boundaries and we can be clear and decisive and communicate them, that relationship's going to get stronger.
In fact, my latest book, The Healing Path, The Survivor's Guide to Healing from Childhood Abuse, I talk quite a bit about boundaries. It's either a section or a chapter in my book that I go into the boundaries pretty extensively.
That's why I say it's one of your topics.
Yeah, right. So it's in that book.
Yeah.
You can get it on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, and Audible.
Good.
Anyway.
That's good. You know, if you're in this season of parenting an adult child or adult children, or maybe you're coming upon this season, we want to encourage you. This is not a loss of a relationship.
Mm-mm.
It's actually a transition of a relationship.
Healthier, more loving
Yeah,
relationship, believe
it's
it or not.
it's hard to explain, but it is a beautiful relationship. And like I said, the dynamic of your relationship will change. Can't say when, but it will change, especially if you can set these clear, decisive boundaries in that relationship.
We have to remember that, like all transitions, it requires adjustment,
Yep.
right? We have to learn to adjust. Patience is
Oh.
a virtue through all of this,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And growth, and sometimes letting go of what used to be,
Right.
and that can be a hard task. But when you can finally get there, it'll change your life.
Yeah. And I love the growth part of
Right.
this because I think as parents, we're like, okay, they're adults now and we'll just let them go. No, we have to grow with them in their maturity as well because, and so it's growth on both parts. And that's what I love about that. And you know, the other side of that transition, it can be something that's really beautiful. It's a relationship that will be built on mutual respect, trust, and I love this part, the healthy connection.
Right.
And don't we all desire healthy connection, especially with our kids? I
It's
love that.
important to have healthy.
Healthy
I mean,
connection.
we got real healthy connection with our kids.
Yeah, I love
Right?
that.
Our grandkids, everything. Right? So if this episode resonated with you and you're navigating challenges with your adult children or any relationship where boundaries feel difficult,
We want to invite you to schedule a no-cost discovery session with us at Heal and Restore Counseling.
it's safe. It's a safe place to talk through what you're experiencing and begin identifying healthy next steps. So all you got to do is visit www.healandrestorecounseling.com to get started. Just fill out the contact form, and usually within 4 hours you're going to hear back from
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So thanks for spending this time with us today.
Yeah,
we
no.
appreciate
Yeah, it's
you
been a good
you
topic.
listening.
Yeah.
We hope this helps.
Yeah, definitely. And remember, healing is possible, restoration is possible, and you don't have to walk through it alone. That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And so we only got 3 action steps out of you, the listener. 1, like. 2, follow. And 3, share.
Yeah.
And if you know somebody's struggling, please pass this on to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I love that.
So remember this: if nobody tells you they love you today, Randy does.
Kathy does.
And more importantly, God does. Be blessed, everybody.
Have a great week.